here on set, Dave Cota, town manager and uphill climber to a different degree. I'm surprised that you're not in, but you have done the uphill climb before.
Oh, I did it for years, yeah.
Welcome, Dave. How are you?
Greg. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. You had a little leave of absence, about what, 5 months?
5.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, five and a half months.
And we're excited to talk about what you were doing during those 5 months. You were hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and we're going to show a map of that, and I want to ask you a little bit about it. First off, can you explain a little bit about it, what it entails, the area?
Yeah. Well, the Pacific Crest Trail is 2,653 miles. It starts at the Mexican border, a little town called Campo, C-A-M-P-O. It's 60 miles east of San Diego. And it's in the high desert, and it goes to the Canadian border, 2,653 miles through the about, you've got about 700 miles of there's the map right there. Yeah, way down there is Campo, and then you proceed north in the high desert for about 700 miles, and then you're in the high Sierra for about 400 miles. Then you're in Northern California through various mountain ranges, and then you're into Oregon.
Holy smokes.
And then you're into Washington State.
What made you decide to hike the entire 2,650-mile trail?
Well, when I was a young man,
Yeah.
out of college a long time ago, 47 years ago, I thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail. An incredible experience, and something that there weren't a lot of people doing it back then, but something I'd always wanted to do after that was to hike the Pacific Crest Trail. So it was something I'd always wanted to do, and I'm getting on now, so that I was one of the oldest people on the Pacific Crest Trail. If I didn't do it now, it wasn't going to happen. Right. I mean, it's just, the reality sets in. You're getting older, so. But the trail goes through 7 national parks and 25 national forests.
Wow.
U.S. and so as compared with the Appalachian Trail, which is 1 national park and several national forests.
Which one would you do again tomorrow, if you could?
Well, I'm getting older, so I probably wouldn't do either one.
If you were trying to decide out of those two.
It's a tough, I'm an East Coaster, so
Yep.
I mean, that's where my heart is. But the reality is, I think, the Pacific Crest Trail has so much more diversity. You're going through so much different terrain. You got, you've got the high desert, the high Sierra. And Washington State was just astoundingly beautiful. That way exceeded expectations. You're in, serrated ridges and alpine lakes, and I mean, phenomenal. And so I guess if I had to do one, it would be the Pacific Crest Trail, but nothing to take away from the Appalachian Trail.
Sure.
But
so tell us about some of the experiences on the trail. I have had, you meet anyone from Maine?
Met a couple people, a young lady from Topsom, Maine. She a young lady. And then there were a couple people, briefly. They were pretty young. They hike a little faster than I do. I do pretty well, but not. I'm not going to keep up with young people. I'm not at my age. But I think one of the things I really tried to do out there was sort of be an ambassador for the older generation, so to speak, and for the state of Maine. Yeah. And I felt really good about that. I really, I won't say promoted, but yeah, I did. I mean, I sort of, told people about our great state, and the Appalachian Trail goes right through Carrabassett Valley. Pretty amazing, really. And so, I really tried to do that. I really tried to talk to a lot of the young people, and I think they appreciated me. My hiking experience and the fact that I was doing this at my age, and I could relate to them. Right. And that's what they are. A lot of internationals out there this year. Because of COVID, there was a latent demand. So about 30% of the people out there were from Germany, Switzerland, Australia. Really? Yeah, all over.
Huh. Yeah. A great experience, though.
It was amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's not something I'm going to talk about a lot about here in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to try to do something at the library, maybe early December, where I'll have, much more, detail about the trip, and
Yeah.
I can do a little bit more.
And a slideshow and things.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that would be great. That would be exciting to have.
Yeah.
And we'll look forward to that. And hopefully we can spread the word because we'd love to share that experience. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you'll probably, what advice would you give anyone else that's going to make that trip for you?
Don't wait till you get as old as I am.
Don't wait. Yeah. How many miles a day could you cover?
It all depends on where you were. Like the High Sierra, if you're doing 13 miles a day up those high passes, those passes are anywhere from 10,000 to 13,500. And so that's me. I believe on Forester Pass right there. That's at 13,500 right there. That's the highest point of the Pacific Crest Trail. Yeah, unfortunately, there's Mount Whitney. That's a side trail to the top of them. I got really lucky, fortunate. It was a beautiful day up there.
Were you all alone?
No, there's a lot of people hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. There's a whole permitting system behind it, and they allow 50 a day, March, April, and May, going north. And I hooked up with, look at the beauty. I hooked up with, that's just incredible wilderness. But having said that, I hooked up with really two guys, one for a while and then another one for, I think that's going up Mule Pass, Mur Pass. And we had a lot of difficult snow conditions at times. And that, I almost quit at mile 900. I was just completely wasted, I guess is the best way to put it. That's the famous hut on top of
what kept you going?
Mur Pass. Well, I took a couple days off at Kennedy Meadows North, and kind of rejuvenated a little bit. And I met a new hiking friend who I hiked the last 1,500 miles with.
Wow.
Jim, who was in the early 60s, a retired geologist. Great guy. It's in 24/7 you're with somebody. All that time. It's amazing. You really bond and you develop a friendship, and we helped each other. Right. So I think that helped a lot, along with the fact that the terrain got a little easier, and finally when I got about halfway at about the 1,300 mile mark, that's when things started to click. I said, something, I can friggin' do this, and I had some doubts before that. It was quite emotional.
Yeah, yeah. A great feeling, though.
Yeah. That's Mount Shasta. That's Bernie Falls in Northern California. It was just, the landscape I saw was...
That's amazing.
Was amazing stuff. That's Northern California, Castle Craig's Wilderness. Incredible beauty. The landscape, people I met, every day. I mean, you're just surrounded by this amazing landscape. It's
accommodations.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. That's at an alpine lake right there. That's my campsite. We really enjoyed. Now, talk about this one for a little bit because it kind of pertains to us here somewhat. That is the town of Etna in California, before you get into Oregon. And what they allow to have happen there is they have a town park. And they allow PCT hikers to camp at that town park.
Nice.
That may not sound like much, but I'll tell you, hikers spend a lot of money.
Really?
They're not poor. A lot of them are going to restaurants, spending some serious, I know we did. First thing you do, you get into town, guess what? It's like, put the calories to you,
Who's got the wolf burger?
Who's got the wolf burger, exactly, and I'm sure they do same thing in Stratton.
Oh, they do, yeah.
And they accommodate hikers. They've learned that, they get it, and then the local grocery store knows exactly what hikers want.
Interesting.
For trail food, And they stock up on it. And when you get a bubble of hikers, 100 to 120 a day, you can go through. You can go through your supplies pretty fast. But they learn, and they make money, and that's great. And the hikers are accommodating. But we'd go into a town sometimes, and we would stay in it. We were fortunate, we got a little better off than some of the younger folks. But and we would, Jim and I would split a hotel room. And we'd stay there 1 or 2 nights and, just rest up and, eat a lot of food, and I mean, I lost 15 pounds out there. I didn't have a lot to lose to start with.
Yeah, no.
I gained 5 since coming home. My wife Mickey's a good cook.
And you can, and the other thing is the shower is
The shower is important, but we try to stay out there with streams and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's not always easy. You go through a lot of burned areas in California, which is another whole subject. But having said, look at that. That's, you can see the burned forest there.
Yeah.
And that's a fire right there that picture was taken by a hiker that was a day behind us, coming into Ashland, Oregon. There's a 100-mile section between Sayed Valley and Oregon, a tough section, and it blew up. You know, a lot of lightning strikes out there, and of course there's just, so what happened, this person took that picture, I was able to get it, and they closed that trail, that whole 100 miles, like 2 days after we got through to Ashland. And it was, look at the smoke. This shows you the smoke. This is Ashland, Oregon. Beautiful. You know, really cool town. It's 20,000 people. It's one of the bigger towns on the PCT. But having said that, that's just all smoke. I mean, it just, you know, at different places, depending which way the wind was blowing. That's Crater Lake. That's famous. That's Wizard Island. I'm sure a lot of the folks in our audience have seen that. That's a national park. You can drive to that. That's Mount Hood.
Thank God for national parks.
Yeah, that's Mount Hood. You know, there was still, skiers were training there. That's the Columbia River Gorge, at Cascade Locks.
Yeah.
And that is, it's a beautiful place. The name of the town is Cascade Locks.
Do a lot of windsurfing there, don't they?
I guess they do, yeah. And there's a big marine park there that's amazing. It's huge. And there's the Bridge of the Gods right there at Cascade Locks, where you go from the state of Oregon to Washington State. And you can see the PCT sign on the right.
Yep.
And it's kind of a famous bridge. And the Mount Adams Wilderness.
When will you be doing your presentation?
Well, I don't know yet. There's the Goat Rocks, one of my favorite places on the whole trail. That was incredibly beautiful, Washington State. Here it is.
That is just...
Oh, I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. I was...
hard to take a bad picture of that.
That doesn't do it justice.
No.
No, I mean, and you're surrounded 360 degrees by this, you know, incredible
Amazing.
beauty and landscape, and it was really amazing.
Sounds like a life-changing trip, and we'll look forward to the presentation that you're going to do to get into depth and people can answer some questions, because there may be some people you're inspiring right now to go out and take that, but you got to sign up, be one of the 50, right?
You got to be one of the 50, and you know.
And questions that you could answer that you know. That
yeah, no, I'd be
your way
glad to
out.
help. I just don't wait till you get too old.
Don't wait till you get too old. Dave, thank you so much.
All
Dave
right,
Cota, Town Manager of Carrabassett Valley, and we